An Illinois bill that stops police from searching a vehicle based on the smell of burnt or raw cannabis for people 21 and older passes the Senate committee Tuesday. According to Capitol News Illinois, the bill would also get rid of the state law that requires cannabis being transported in a vehicle to be in an odor-proof container. A Democrat lawmaker says police will have to know the difference between the two.
On top of that, the smell of hemp smells the same as raw cannabis. And so they're now asking law enforcement to know the difference between hemp and raw cannabis in order to not violate someone's Fourth Amendment rights.